Hello, lovelies. Happy 2023 and welcome back to another episode of Wedding Wednesday Q&A where we answer your wedding questions. And today's question is, should we do a first look? Yeah, this has been a popular question lately, and we will get to it right away. If you are new here, don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button to help this episode reach more people that will also benefit from this insight. Now, about first looks. This is probably one of those things where a lot of couple want to do it, not because it's just popular, but because it also brings out a lot of raw emotions. And this is, if you have seen first look wedding photos, you can see that these are like raw, pure emotions. And I think so too, because it is really a moment between the couple. So it's not like there's a lot of eyes, the guests are going to be there. No, it is really a very intimate moment for this couple seeing each other for the first time. Now, of course, there are pros and cons depending on what you want to do, what you want to achieve on the day of your wedding. So the first look, as the word implies, is when the couple sees each other for the first time. Fully glammed, all dressed up, everything. So they're all basically ready to go for the wedding. We love first looks. If you've seen photos, we love them so much. However, we also understand that this is probably not for everyone. And to a lot of institutions, this is actually contrary to the tradition that the couple are to see each other for the first time at the beginning of the ceremony, as one of them will walk down the aisle towards the other who is waiting on the other end of the aisle. And basically seeing that person walking down the aisle for the first time is not just for the partner, but also for everyone at that ceremony. Let's talk about why having a first look is beneficial for you. If you are the type of couple who wants to enjoy an intimate and private moment just between the two of you, seeing each other for the first time before the ceremony, so basically before the guests can see both of you, you have already seen each other. So that's one of the things that I would always suggest to the couple if that's something that they want to do. Again, depending on the institution that you're getting married at, that might not be an option for you because there are different setups around it. It's important that you speak to your officiant or your family members, your partner, most especially if this is something that you wanted to incorporate at your wedding. If you are working with a professional photographer or a professional wedding planner, they should be able to insert this moment somewhere throughout the day before the ceremony. It's kind of easy. You don't need to push back so much in terms of the activities or the timeline during the day, because if you're working with a professional, they should be easily able to incorporate that without disrupting the whole day. Another benefit to having a wedding first look is you really get to chill more at the ceremony. So, of course, you're always going to have some butterflies and, just some little jitters walking down the aisle. But that sometimes happens because you haven't seen your partner. So it's a long walk. Well, it depends on how long your aisle is, but it's still a walk to get to your partner, to get to hold that person. So that creates that jitters and butterflies. And it's a lot to take in sometimes, especially when you're walking down the aisle and everyone's eyes are on you. Everyone's just staring and looking, and you're focused on your partner down at the other end of the aisle. And if you feel like that's going to happen, and if you felt that you're already nervous as it is, having a first look eases that anxiety and that jitters a lot. It helps with, okay, we've seen each other already. I know you're there for me. We're going to do this together. probably still gonna be some tears, but there will no longer be that overwhelming tears because you already saw each other before the ceremony. Essentially, you guys are already settled and calmed as the ceremony starts. After doing that first look, the wedding ceremony is now a team sport where you walk in and like, yeah, man, we got this. And you just both feel extra confident and just kind of helps the vibe and the spirit of everyone around you. My favorite benefit from having a wedding first look is that raw emotions are captured. It's probably one of the most enchanting parts of the wedding first look photo is the fact that you are more likely to show your raw emotions. Since it's just the two of you. So if you're walking down the aisle, you're probably holding back some tears or some laughter or some emotion or you probably have to have some type of composure happening while you're walking down the aisle in front of the officiant, your family, everybody else. But when you see your partner for the first time and it's just the two of you, there's this rush of like, I can be myself. I don't have to hold back. I can cry if I want to. There are no inhibitions or shyness. If you want to cry, you can do so freely. When it's just the two of you, amazing reactions will come through naturally. Laughing hysterically or uttering words that you didn't think you had even thought of to describe how you feel at that moment. And that will potentially be legendary and will make great photos. If your makeup gets smudged, you can still fix it right before walking down the aisle. Well, you have to have your makeup kit handy or your makeup artist with you, but that will definitely help. So you don't have to worry about smudging your makeup. If your hair moved around a bit, you can also get that fix right before the ceremony. If you've already done your first look, you can also include your bridal party or your closest family right after. If you want to have that intimate photos with everyone as well, because it's kind of like a reveal, but not a reveal to everyone, but kind of like a reveal to the closest around you. So your bridal party and your parents, your family, that can also be a really great moment captured. Now that we talked about how much we love wedding looks, let's also talk about some drawbacks. I mean, there's not a lot. There's not a lot, but just like with anything, of course, there's going to be pros and cons. One thing is that, of course, you're going to have to carve in extra time. That's just the truth of the matter, right? Like if your timeline is already pretty packed or you have back-to-back things happening, you're going to have to sit down and carve in that time to do the wedding photos. Of course, you also don't want to rush it. You don't want it to be too long and you don't want it to be too short either. You want to really savor the moment and be there and enjoy it and soak it all in. So it depends on how long you want it to be. Usually it's not even going to be more than 30 minutes. But of course, depending on other things that are happening on your timeline, sometimes you might want to move things around or push things a little bit earlier before the ceremony. That way you can have that extra time just in between for your first look photos, and also just a little bit of time to do touch-ups just in case there were some tears or something moved around your hair, your bun, some baby hairs came out. Just like a little bit of time after that first look photos. That way you can retouch things and freshen up. I don't think this is really a major drawback. It just depends on the relationship that you have established with your photographers and videographers. Because it's a very intimate moment, it's basically you, your partner, and the photographers and the videographer if you have that too. But it's important that you already feel confident and comfortable around them. So if this is the first time you're working with these photographers and say, for example, you guys didn't do an engagement shoot, that moment might not come naturally to you. It might be a little bit harder for you to express your feelings or to show raw emotions because basically the people that are there are strangers. So it's also important to note that when you hire a photographer or your videographer, always work with them prior to the wedding. So this can look like an engagement photos, or maybe with a bridal shower, or the groomsmen event dinner, however it looks like. Work with them and get comfortable, get to know them, have them around you so you don't feel jitters or feel nervous around them when you get to see your partner for the first time, especially when you're doing your first look. When you have already shared a quote-unquote experience with them, an engagement shoot, a bridal shower, dinner, whatever that case may be, it makes the first look photo shoot less nerve-wracking and more fun, not just for you, but also for them. So you're just gonna feed off all this good vibes altogether. This is probably one of the deciding points on whether you want to do a first look or not, is because you're no longer going to have that altar moments. Hear me out here. So having the first look at the altar is a traditional way of doing it. If you go for a first look photo shoot, you will be missing out on this opportunity. This is the main reason why most couples tend to forgo first look photos, because it's wonderful to have the first look at the altar, just the two of you with everybody around you, all the guests that you've invited, your family, your friends. You want to have that moment with everybody as opposed to having that moment just between the two of you. However, I feel like I always have a however, because it helps to give you these things. That way you can make a more informed, more authentic decision that's best for you. However, you need to communicate with the photographer and make sure that you still have time to take pictures together without skipping out a part of the cocktail hour. In the description below, we have also included the link to the post where you will also find inspirational photos that will hopefully convince you to do a first look moment on your wedding day. You will find locations like a staircase, garden, doors, nature, studio, outside your venue or hotel, lobby, driveway, walkway, and trails, and a lot more, which you will be inspired by. Where you're doing your first look wedding shoot depends on your vibe as well. Rustic and classic usually involve nature and trails, while if you're more into the classic and modern, usually they take place in your hotel lobby or backdrops with an architectural aesthetic. Maybe that can be a museum. You can be as serious and raw, but you can also be as candid as possible. There's so many fun ideas that you can incorporate to make this first look moment not just romantic, but also super fun and enjoyable. And there you are, lovelies, our take on your question, should you do a wedding first look? I feel like it was a yes and no at the same time. It really depends. I feel like the first look is gonna happen no matter what, right? Like the first look can happen just between the two of you, or the first look can happen in front of everyone at the ceremony. So it's just a matter of when you're doing it. But I think the question, should you do a first look? I mean, you will do a first look. It's just a matter of asking, is it a first look between the two of you or first look with everyone else? That's a question I'm gonna leave you with. Before you go, don't forget to download your free wedding planning kit in the description below. And hit the subscribe and like button to help this episode reach more people that will also benefit from this insight. As always, we are here to inspire you to celebrate life and love. Until next time, lovelies, bye!